Tell us about what about the air conditioning in the lunar module?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can talk about that.
Okay.
The lunar module on the moon was assailed by sunlight unobstructed by any atmosphere. The surface of the moon, when the sun is shining on it, is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. One has to ask, how were the astronauts able to air cool or water cool or cool in any way the interior of the lunar excursion module? They only had batteries, and batteries run down very quickly when they're running air conditioning equipment. So it's obvious to almost anybody who investigates the lunar excursion module that there would have been no way to keep the astronauts alive in an environment that was hot enough to bake cookies.
Tell us about the type of engine the LM used, how you have seen it tested on the ground, the type of color it emitted, and that there was no color of that engine.
Oh, you mean the lunar ascent and descent engines?
Right.
Okay. The lunar ascent and descent engines were propelled by hypergolic propellants. And that means that propellants which, when they are mixed, ignite spontaneously. Now, these two propellants produce a very hot red gas. I've seen them tested at Rocketdyne many times. In photographs taken on the moon, there is practically no visible gas being emitted from the ascent engine when it takes off, nor is there any indication when they are descending that there is this cloud of red gas underneath the lunar excursion module.
Tell us about the sound, for example, the descent and ascent engine make.
The sounds of engines run up in excess of 150 decibels. This is far beyond the capability of anybody to converse when you have sound at that high level. Now, the engines inside the lunar module, both the descent engine and the ascent engine, emitted this type of noise. And yet, in broadcasts from the moon, we hear the astronauts conversing in a normal tone of voice and saying things like, "quiet ride."
Now, what about the engine and the fact that it was no crater under the landing?
One of the strongest pieces of evidence that no one has ever landed on the moon is the fact that underneath the lunar module, underneath the engine cone, the jet nozzle, there is no crater. And yet in all of the drawings done by NASA artists prior to Apollo, they show a tremendous crater being gouged out by this 10,000-pound thrust jet engine of the lunar descent module. I would say that the strongest piece of evidence, other than the stars, is the fact that there is no disturbance underneath the lunar excursion module upon its landing.
Tell us about, if it were fake, why they deleted mentioning of stars and photographic centers. What was the reason behind that?
Well, the reason they couldn't mention stars or take photographs of stars is that the astronomy buffs at Vanderbilt or Harvard or UCSC would have found the errors instantly.